They said many of the young workers at DC 37 don't understand the fact that some of their co-workers have been bought out by Henry Garrido, Sean Francois, Donald Nesbitt, Mafuda, Anthony Wells, and the rest of the DC 37 executive board. Those people are against you, they're members, and let me make this absolutely clear. They collectively hate you and will never help you.
Now, Sharon was asking who else we cover besides just the people from HRA. I told her ACS.
ACS, Juvenile Justice, HRA, JOS, the people in the courts. There's a lot of people, man.
I have an outline, you know, for an agenda that includes the contract, the health benefits. And I think that was something that Cliff spoke about earlier, about younger people not being particularly concerned about some of our concerns. So we really need to, you know, give them that information that they need so that this effort is a collective effort, you know what I mean?
They're not concerned. The current leadership, they're concerned in keeping power. So they're gonna put the maximum amount of distractions there. I hope nobody's paying attention and they can squeeze right through. That's the play on them.
Is there anything you'd like to add to the discussion since we're brainstorming right now? In addition to just saying what's wrong with the local right now, right? And we know what's wrong. We're being misrepresented, you know, everything so far as concerned, as far as this local is concerned, is just going downhill. But what is the alternative? What it is that we're proposing that is different so that we can rally the rest of the people? What it is that we want to offer? What it is that's going, how are we going to make that difference?
Okay.
And I think it's essential that we outline, you know, exactly what it is so that people understand that they have a stake in this. Otherwise, it might just be business as usual. And I don't want us to do anything like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right, Sharon? Is that what you're thinking?
I'm thinking a lot. You know, I want my union to be for me. I'm still paying dues. And from what I understand, we don't have to. So I believe in a union that strongly to continue to pay dues. But I want my union to work for me. I don't want them to sit by and just allow anything to happen. Right now, we're under a lot of stress at our sites.
Absolutely.
And this is due to the increased caseloads. Because once they change the status from having AIDS and an opportunistic disease to only having HIV, that's just the presence in your body, then that allowed the program to be opened up to many more people. And so they're not filling the seats so that the caseloads are not high. I had 72 people at one point on my caseload, which is totally unacceptable. And management is harassing and stressing out the workers. There's nothing that happened over the last 3-4 years since the program changed. So we want these seats filled. We want more workers in these seats to help alleviate the stress that we're getting. I asked him in the meeting when he came to our site, why is it that you guys got paid in terms of increasing our dues and we didn't get any money? And he's like, oh, he went to something back in, I don't know, I think 1800s or something. I think I heard him say, because I kind of blacked out on him. He was like, oh, this allows us to do it. But I'm thinking, and I didn't want to hijack the meeting, but I'm thinking you couldn't wait until we got a raise before you implemented a raise. That means you really don't care.
You really don't care.
But there's gonna be more raised too. Because
What you mean? They're gonna increase it again?
Yeah.
Right, they just got an increase. When they get it, every 2 years?
Now they're gonna increase it again because as your salary go up, your dues increase.
Well, he got one already.
Now that's a pass through ASME.
Oh,
And that 8%, you're about to see some extra raise.
They got a raise before we got an increase.
Yeah,
That
of
increase,
course.
that raise should have waited until we got a raise.
and that's what I said.
That's what Sharon was just saying.
Yeah, you could have waited, you know, have
Y'all
a,
need to refund us back a couple of paychecks. So that raise kick in.
and now what's going on at our center. And there is a claim that, you know, Peter Uzimir's claim that the union knows about this is that they indirectly adding cases to our caseload by way of overtime. So what they're saying is, if you're already doing overtime for another project, such as the FIA, they have overtime around the clock, then you must do overtime for HACA, even though nothing came down saying it's mandatory.
Yeah,
Now, when these clients come in, you must service those clients each and every time, even if they have other packages. Other issues.
Yeah, you're gonna inherit clients.
but you notice they won't put it in writing.
Of course not. Our
Yeah,
case
man.
went from 65 to 103 in a week if you decide to do overtime.
65 to 103.
Yeah.
What you mean? I didn't catch that.
And I already have 65, so I did 10 cases. So now I don't inherit another 10.
Exactly. So, and they're making it seem like you have to, and they're saying to the workers that if you don't do any overtime for HACA or comparable to what you're doing for FIA, then they're not gonna approve your time. But
Mhm. And
I know that they
we
can't
have
do
an
it.
email in writing from our soup too, but we're gonna leave that alone.
Saying that same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, we need to keep that. And I sent Anthony a text. He said he would get back to me. That's 2 weeks ago. I'm still waiting. I wanted to discuss that with him because that is not true. A lot of these workers were doing the FIA project where they were pre-approved. It's in writing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's in writing for HACA, yet they're getting away with this. Because people are not gonna, go against it. They're afraid at times, and I understand some of it. But they're lying to the workers, saying that they have to do it. No, you do not. So those are my concerns. The increased caseload, the harassment, the constantly returning cases, to the point that you just don't care. When you come in, you do a package, you're expected to get returned at least 10 times.
Yep. Had a client lose a whole apartment because it done got returned too many times.
Okay.
Welcome,
And
welcome.
the broker and the landlord just pulled out. So now he's still in the shelter. And they asked me what am I doing. I did what I had to do. I tried to get him an apartment. It was on y'all.
I think he's done his magic, so I might just pass the baton.
All right. The man of the hour. Come on.
And yeah, come on.
Bring us to the promised land.
Take us to the promised land.
How you doing? Well,
We good.
I'm Alex Parker. I've been with the city for 31 years, been a advocate for working people those entire 31 years. I was the president of Local 1457 for 9 years. Yeah, like I said, I merged my union with 371. It was an idea that Charles Inslee gave me when I first became president. And I saw that we were losing to the child advocates. I knew that this little local that I had could not survive the child advocates. So I made the selfless act to merge with 371 and give up my presidency. And I didn't even take a job with the union at the time. I didn't want it to be, quid pro quo. I wanted it to be clean, and I wanted it to be about the members. And so at that time, Faye Moore was the president. After a little while, I got the bug to help people again. I went back to work under Anthony. And that's when my eyes were shocked to see how bad the union was ran. It wasn't about the work. It was about clicks. It was about favoritism, petty politics, and keeping himself in power. And at that point, I knew I had to leave and run against him. So as you know, I ran against him during COVID and lost. And now I'm back again. We're going to take him out this time. But I think members are fed up. I was listening to some of the things that you were about. I think my work location has to be the most dangerous work location in New York City. And not one rep, delegate, or himself has been there to check on the members. And I know if that's happening with me, that's happening all over the city. I believe that his heart isn't in it anymore. I believe it's all about him, his family members and his friends that he got, at the union office making great money while the members suffer. I think this is our time to make a change. I was listening to what you were saying, about we don't want to get in there and do the same thing they're doing. You're absolutely right. We want to do things differently. And the only way you do things differently is by being a servant to the members, not playing the game for yourself. The members who dictate the way the union operates. If you listen to them and you act on their concerns. If you act on your concerns, then we're going to be in a situation that we're in now, where members are just frustrated, paying dues, not paying dues. They're also hiding the fact that a lot of people are not paying dues. Okay, a lot of people are not paying dues, and they're getting the same services. So we have to also, when we get in there, we have to get our membership rolls back up. You know, we got to get people to believe in the union again. You know, that has stopped. People don't believe in it. That's why they don't pay. And I can't say I blame them. If this contract passes, we're going to get an automatic dues increase. We're not getting any increase in services. We're definitely going to get a dues increase. They're going to pass it along. You know, I mean, by the time this raise is over, I think I'll be paying about $50 a month in dues. First, I'm just grateful and thankful that you guys wanted to meet and give Cliff and I the opportunity to, you know, to talk and chat it up, talk about our issues, because I think no matter where you work, we're all in the same boat. We are overworked, underpaid, and underrepresented. And this 16% raise, I'm torn between it because I know it's not enough money. And inflation is already up 11% in 1 year. So we're still drowning. But more importantly, you know, there are members in this union, as well as DC 37, that work and go home to shelters. So for this raise, it's going to be a lifeline. You know, there are people who actually really need this money. You know, my occupational group, we make it up through overtime. You know, so if you know inflation is up, you just work your butt off, right, to keep your head above water. But there are people who make straight salary. They don't have the opportunity for overtime. And this raise is going to be a lifeline to them. So I'm torn to say, you know, vote it down, because I know there are people in this local that actually needs this lifeline. They need that $3,000. They need that retroactive compounded money past 2 years. They need it. You know, so I'm torn. You know, it's easy to say, oh, vote it down. But there are people that need the money. I'm actually very torn, but I know it's not enough money for the work that we do. And I know other unions coming behind us are going to get those 5s and 6s, because that's how it always is.
Yep.
You know, Cliff and I, we just did a review of Wells's administration in terms of raises. It was full of ones, a couple zeros, and it was ones. So for the 11 years he's been president, I think it was 11%. So that's 1% a year under his leadership. Apart from the fact that most people don't notice, union presidents take credit for good raises, but they don't negotiate the raises. They don't negotiate. I was president for 9 years. I never sat in front of the mayor and negotiated a raise. Rose Lavaglio Miller, who's head of DC 37 research and negotiations, as well as Henry Garrido, negotiated this raise. The presidents are part of a committee. You put your concerns up, vote on it. You put stuff on. You take stuff off. You bring your demands to leadership. I have been fortunate enough to be in the presence of Charles Inslee, where I actually saw the framework of a deal being worked out. And it's not a room full of people. It's 3-4 people tops that work out the framework of a deal. And I was a young union president at the time, and I was astonished, amazed at how it really works. And it doesn't work the way they show you on TV with the press conference and we cut a deal. It doesn't work like that, you know? And I believe that this deal is timed for the upcoming elections. I believe 371 elections is coming up, a couple other 5% locals. I think their elections are up this year. I think this deal was rushed so that these people can get reelected again. And then Henry probably has an election coming up as well, because they want to keep the status quo and they want to keep the power in place. Just like the last time we had an election, Anthony Wells, quote unquote, saved jobs, right? It's always timed right before the election, if you notice. It's all a scam. That's why on the night of nominations, you know, it was breaking news. Wells, Francois, and Henry Garrido saved the jobs. If you notice, they always try to deliver something to the members when it comes to election time. It's the biggest scam ever.